So this is the Red Green Aetherworks deck. This deck is really popular right now online. It's a pretty new deck. Hasn't really been around for that long, and it's been putting up some amazing results. It's great against the mid-range decks of the format, so stuff like Black Green Delirium just traditionally has trouble with Marvel. But the reason why this version is better in many ways than the Teamer version is it does have game against stuff like Blue White Flash. So even though those matchups are tough, the Delirium elements make them better, and then some of the red spot removal spells help as well. So the mana base is good. Just 4 game trails, basic lands. The Aether Hubs are the best of your lands because they produce an energy. And then Evolving Wilds is good because of our tireless trackers, and it's okay to have a land that comes into play tapped once in a while. So we're starting out right away to get the game going. We want to be playing something on turn 1. So Attune with Aether. Basically, there's 22 lands in the deck, but with Attunes, I like to just go ahead and call it 26 because the Attunes are essentially like lands. Vessel of Nascency is extremely important here because it's the card that most easily gets us to Delirium. Without it, getting to Delirium is going to be much more difficult. It's also an enchantment. It finds your Aetherworks Marvel. It gets you an energy when you sacrifice and an Aetherworks Marvel is in play. It does a lot of different things that may seem small, but they add up. So on turn 2, Servant of the Conduit allows us to play a turn 3 threat like a Marvel or a Chandra, so that's pretty cool. But it's a creature that if your opponent answers it, fine, you still have the energy. The Puzzle Knots are here to be able to allow us to activate Marvel on turn 4, no questions asked. And if we hit a Puzzle Knot off of a Marvel, it's basically like you get another spin next turn, and you're gaining life. So it's all working out in your favor with this card as long as there's a Marvel in play. Harness Lightning, spot removal spell, produces energy. You can easily go up the curve with it, kill a big fatty if you want to. Kozilek's Return, it's for the smaller creature decks, but we're playing 4 copies of Emrakul, so we can get the back half of it and kill a big creature if we want to. So if our opponent's got something like an Ishgana in play, we can just get our Kozilek's Return back and just wrath that Ishgana and the spider right away. Tireless Tracker, it's great in the deck. Some people just have it in the sideboard. I'm actually have a split here between main and board. It's that good, and it helps you to have enough gas in grindy games or against games where you don't have an early Marvel. So of course, 4 copies of Aetherworks Marvel. You'd probably play 10 if you could. 2 Chandra, Torch of Defiance. So this Planeswalker, it's quite good, especially if you can get it out early and ahead of the curve. It's similar to any format of Planeswalker. You want to get it into play early, get it going. Making the additional mana, you can actually use the mana from it. So there's a reasonable amount of times where I just go Chandra plus play a Puzzle Knot, or play Chandra, then the plus the extra 2 red gets you to Emrakul. So it does a lot. And then there's also Big Chandra. So we got Little Chandra, we got Big Chandra. The Big Chandra, it helps you cycle through your hand, kills little things. I've liked the split. Most lists don't have Chandra Flamecaller at all, but it's been pretty good for me. Ishgana is one of the main Delirium threats. It should be no surprise to see Ishgana in the deck. Any deck that calls themselves a Delirium deck in this format basically needs to have multiple copies of Ishkana. And there are ways to activate it. So Aether Hub or Servant of the Conduit can allow us to use the Ishkana activation. And then 4 copies of Emrakul. There's no Ulamogs in the main deck. Emrakul is the one that we can hardcast more realistically, and the effect off Aetherworks Marvel is absurd. So this is the Emrakul is the way you close out most of the games. In the sideboard, we can shore up some matchups where we're not that great game 1. So Natural States, Tears of Valakuts, that type of stuff, we're boarding in against Blue-White Flash. The States can come in against aggressive decks. The Trackers, those come in against the grindier matchups. Kozilek's Return is, again, we don't really want to have more Kozilek's Return for big creature decks, so it's mostly just for the token strategies, the vehicle strategies. And then Bristling Hydra, I like it because it allows you to board out some of your other energy stuff. So say you want to board out Puzzle Knots because you know your opponent is going to have more answers to your Aetherworks Marvel after sideboard. You're not going to as easily stick the Marvel, and it's going to be more of a 1-for-1 game. Maybe you don't want the Puzzle Knots. Maybe you want a creature like Bristling Hydra that can get you energy, and it does something. It pressures your opponent. It's great against any straight-up control deck, just because of the hexproof it provides. Nissa is also good in those similar types of matchups. Very difficult to deal with threat. And then World Breaker and Ulamog. So we've got a couple more fatties. Some black-green lists are playing stuff like Lost Legacy, going after your Emrakul. So you want to be able to diversify threats after sideboard, and these cards help allow you to do that. So this is the Red Green Aetherworks deck.